Let's have a roll call on it.
First, Chairman, this meeting has been advertised in accordance to the Sunshine Law.
Well, how come we have that third down on the?
That's on the second one. Mr. Candell?
Here.
Ms. Larman? Here. Mr. Muller?
Here.
Mr. Shaw?
Here.
Ms. Sataka? Here. Mr. Volusin?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Council President Zabrowski?
Here.
Chairman Ty?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Memorialization of resolution.
None this evening?
Okay. Minutes, we need to accept them from the minutes from the last meeting.
Yep, so we have the meeting from December 3rd, 2025.
First, I need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
The next is January 7th, 2026.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Communication agenda,
None this evening?
site plan and subdivision.
This evening, we have Planning Board number 25-03, preliminary and final site plan with C variances, Caravan LLC. This was carried from our December 3rd, 2025 meeting. The block is 277, lots 1 through 5, and 13 and 14.
Much. Who's up? Good evening, Mr. Wisniewski.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. John Wisniewski, Wisniewski and Associates, representing Caravan LLC on this application for preliminary and final major site plan with 3 variances and 2 waivers. As was discussed earlier, this matter was carried. I received a letter from the board indicating that jurisdiction had been accepted based on our affidavit of service. And so jurisdiction is still good as of tonight. We have 5 witnesses that we'd like to put on. Robert Murray from Menlo Engineering, Kevin Spink from Kanzani Associates, the architect, Scott Kennel from McDonough Ray, who will do the traffic testimony, James Higgins from James Higgins and Associates, who will do the planning testimony, and the applicant, or the principal of the applicant, Mike Caracappa, who's running late, but he'll be here by the time he's up. There are 11 items that have been submitted. Those were all outlined in the submittal letter, including the site plan, the architectural plans, both of which were revised and submitted in December. And the revision on that was just simply to provide attic storage where there was not any ability to have attic storage before. It also eliminated, there were 6 lube locations. There are only 4 now. And that was done to address the parking concerns that were raised. We've received both review letters, one from Morgan Engineering and the other from Acuity Consulting. Haven't received anything subsequent to those letters. I'm not sure if there were any other reviews that were pending, but we didn't get them. Nope. Okay. So just as a brief overview, this is a application to construct an approximately 9,300 square foot oil change, car wash, and detailing business, a permitted use in the B3 zone where this is located. It's a 1-story building. It will have a basement for storage, and as I mentioned just recently, an attic for storage. It'll have 4 lube bays, 3 detailing bays. It will have an office area and an office storage area. The applicant is proposing to dedicate part of his property to the right-of-way for Kearney Road because Kearney Road kind of narrows unnaturally towards the rear end. So this will actually homogenize the width of Kearney Road for the length. In addition to the preliminary and final site plan that we're seeking, there are 2 bulk variances and 2 design waivers. One is with regard to parking, as I had mentioned, and you'll hear testimony from our experts on that. The other is for 3 freestanding signs where only 1 is permitted, but the 2 additional ones are essentially directional signs. They're freestanding and therefore meet the definition, but they're not advertising, they're not out on the highway, they're interior. Yeah, so as you get to the queue for the car wash, there'll be a sign, kind of a menu. And then as you go through the queue, as you get closer to the start, there'll be another sign of similar nature. but the real advertising one will be out in the front. And then, as I mentioned, the parking, and then there's design waivers because some of the parking area is closer to the right-of-way than the design standards call for in the municipal ordinances. There's one easement on the property. You may be familiar with it. Middlesex County Utilities Authority easement runs on the northeast property line of the property between this property, which is now vacant, and the former Stelmashik bus garage. But there's nothing planned, no development plan exactly on top of that easement. We're trying to stay as far away from that as we can in the event that the MCUA wants to get in there and do any work on it. We don't want to impede them. With that, Mr. Chairman, we would be ready to begin our testimony with our engineer. Tell me if you'd like to swear in all of the professionals at once or do them one at a time. Okay. So then we're going to start with our engineer, and that's going to be Rob Murray from Menlo.
Good evening. I do.
For the purposes of qualifying him as an expert, he has testified in front of boards. Would you detail for this planning board your prior experience testifying in front of boards?
Yes, I testified before numerous boards, mostly in Middlesex County, but never had the pleasure of testifying in Sayreville.
And provide the board with your professional licensure and educational background.
I graduated from Stevens Institute of Technology in 2017 with a bachelor's in civil engineering, and I have been a professional engineer since March 2021, which is about 5 years.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I would submit that he be accepted as an expert.
All in favor? Aye. You're ready.
Thank you. Rob, we have two exhibits up there. Let's first mark them for the record. So if you would just describe for the board what's there. There's a marking A1 and A2 on those exhibits.
If I can direct your attention to the easel to my left here, which is our existing conditions exhibit, which is an aerial photograph of the site and its surroundings. And just to orientate my drawings today, north is to the right. The site, best known as Caravan LLC, is designated as lots 1 through 5 and 13 through 14 in block 277 in the borough of Sayreville tax map. The site is located on the northwest corner of Kearney Road and Route 9. Excuse me. Yes, northwest. The property has access off of Route 9, off of a broken asphalt area in the north corner. And overall, the site property is approximately 2.06 acres and located entirely within the B3 highway business zone. The site is surrounded by commercial uses to the north and to the east, and single-family homes to the south and west. As it exists today, it is currently a vacant lot with overgrown vegetation and portions of broken asphalt.
Rob, just for the record, let's just identify this first drawing up there has a marking. I think it says A1 at the bottom.
Correct. This is Exhibit A1.
And what does this show? This is an aerial view of the site as it is.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll submit that as our first exhibit. And then if you just take it down, just so that we can save time later, what the second one is.
This is our overall plan exhibit marked as Exhibit A2.
And we'll submit that as our second exhibit. Continue.
Okay. Our overall plan exhibit is a colorized rendering of the submitted overall plan with an aerial photograph and landscaping turned on. The applicant is seeking to construct a building for car wash, quick lube, and car detailing services, which are permitted uses. The building footprint is approximately 9,396 square feet. It has one car wash tunnel on the north portion of the building, 4 lube bays in the center portion of the building, and 3 detailing bays to the south portion of the building. So on the north over here, we have our car wash. The center, we have the 4 lube bays and the 3 detail bays on the south portion of the building. The building stands at a complying height of 33.25 feet. Site improvements include a right in, right out access driveway along Route 9 to the east here, right here. A 2-way drive aisle, 24 feet wide, that eventually leads to a 1-way entrance lane to the car wash that's approximately 12 feet. So if you look at the north end here, we have our entrance right here leading to the building, and then we have our 1-way exit at the east side of the building. Site improvements also include parking. We have 16 parking spaces where 31 is required. These spaces are 9 by 18. In our recent revision, we provide a loading space on the west side of the building, right here, right kind of where the notches and the L in the building. This loading space is 12 foot by 37, where 12 by 50 is required, so we will need a waiver. A berm is provided along Kearney Road, right here, with some landscaping. Dumpster enclosure provided on the south side of the building near the detail bays here. Excuse me. Proposed sidewalk and handicap ramps are provided along the building and along Route 9. Utility services to the building include a sanitary lateral connecting to the existing on-site sewer and a proposed water service connecting to the service of Route 9. 3 proposed freestanding signs are provided throughout the site. A proposed sign at the entrance identifying the site here along Route 9, and two signs which list the services provided for the car wash are provided along the 1-way to the car tunnel here and here. Improvements also include lighting and landscaping. We're providing 26 shade trees, 2 ornamental trees, 31 evergreen trees, 261 shrubs, and this is included along the berm to the south, the residential buffer to the west, and along Route 9 frontage. This meets all the ordinance requirements. Lighting includes 5 pole-mounted light fixtures, approximately 24.5 feet high, 3 wall-mounted LED fixtures, 12 feet high. This provides a minimum of 0.5 foot candles and 1.28 average foot candles in the parking area, which is safe and adequate. We do note that the comment that a waiver is necessary for the lighting at the property line where a maximum of 0.5 is required, where we're providing 0.6, but this is only at the entrance drive aisle and not along any of the along Kearney Road or any of the neighboring property lines. We also note that there's a comment to coordinate with the NJDOT on the lighting at the drive aisle, which was suggested by the engineer, and we will coordinate with the NJDOT as suggested. The site is considered a major development, therefore we are required stormwater management. We comply with the quantity, quality, and recharge requirements through the use of a proposed small-scale infiltration basin located at the southern corner here. This meets all the NJDEP stormwater management requirements. And lastly, to tee up the waivers and variants, we are required a waiver for the environmental impact statement. we require a parking setback waiver for where we're providing 15.6 feet from Kearney Road after the dedication where 50 is required. As previously mentioned, we have the loading space dimensions require a waiver where we're providing 12 feet by 37 feet where 12 by 50 is required. And as I also previously stated, we're providing 0.6 foot candles at the driveway entrance where 0.5 is required, is the maximum. Variants include parking where 16 spaces are proposed or 31 is required. Signage where we're providing 3 signs where 1 is allowed, and proposed sign setback where 15 is provided where 25 is required. I read the board professionals' letters and I have no objection except for off-street parking comment 1A3, which require us to have 1 EV parking spaces, but in the state statute, it says that if you provide less than 25 spaces, you are not required a parking space, EV parking charging station. And that concludes my testimony on the improvements of the site.
Thanks, Rob. Just a couple of other requests for further clarification in those review letters from Morgan and Acuity. They asked about easements on the property. Can you just show the board where the easement is?
Yes, there's a utility easement along the north property line here, and we are giving a right-of-way dedication on the south here along Kearney Road.
Thank you. One of the other comments was to discuss the status of outside agency approvals, in particular NJDOT.
We have made an application to NJDOT. We do not have approval yet.
Okay. In terms of the environmental impacts, what, if any, environmental impacts does this development have?
So the site, we're not clearing any trees. It's really just overgrown grass. So, which is why we requested a waiver, as it's very little impact on the environment.
And there's going to be some grading on the site. You mentioned berms. How, if at all, does that grading impact adjoining properties?
The grading is far away from the neighboring properties, and the grading is so that all the improvements on site drain to the proposed small-scale infiltration basin.
There was a request for confirmation or demonstration that the existing water mains have adequate pressure for a fire hydrant or fire suppression. Can you address that?
We do not have a full serve letter yet from the water company. We will work with them to provide what they need to gain service to the building.
And that would be a condition of a resolution compliance condition.
Correct.
Okay. And then you touched on it. You identified the location for the refuse container. One of the comments was discuss the feasibility of a truck coming in to collect that refuse container.
Yes, we provide truck movement plans on the final page of our site plan. The truck will pull in, collect the refuge, and then use the space on the west side of the building to maneuver and to revert back towards Route 9.
And then finally, the application is requesting a variance from the bulk standard on the number of parking spaces. And the ordinance talks about auto repair as the standard under which this is being measured. Can you speak to the board about how this is different from that in terms of what the use here is as opposed to auto repair? In terms of car wash, detailing, and oil change.
Can you clarify?
Yeah, is there as great a need for parking where you're doing car washes, oil change, and repair, detailing as opposed to auto repair as the ordinance describes?
So as you can expect from a site that, for a use that has something as car wash, lube bays, and detailing, the cars that are being brought on site are going to be serviced within the building and stored within the building typically. So I wouldn't anticipate a high demand of parking spaces for such a use.
And in fact, some of the vehicles that will be coming on site, for instance, there are 4 bays for lube and there are 3 bays for detailing. That's essentially 7 parking spots.
Correct.
Okay. I have no further questions for the engineer.
Seeking a variance from 31 to 16,
Correct.
given the 7, you're still short. That's what you're seeking a variance for?
That's correct.
Difference, okay. Anybody else have any questions? 39 or 30?
So originally, because we had 6 lube bays, it was 39, but we wanted to try to get the required parking number down, so we eliminated 2 of those bays. So the original plan, you saw those 6 bays. The plans that we submitted in December only have 4 bays.
Review letter is done. It's original.
Correct. There was no updated letter. That's right.
Mr. Chairman, and maybe Mr. Wisniewski, this is really for the applicant and not the engineer, but in the resolution, if approved, the stipulation would be simply for those uses, right? Not for any extended auto repair or mechanical repair where vehicles will be stored on site for periods of time.
Correct. The applicant would be perfectly fine that this specified that this is for automobile detailing, oil changes, and car wash.
And there'll be no sale of vehicles or any of that nature in it
No.
as well.
No, and Mr. Caracappa will be here shortly, and he can put that on the record if you'd like.
Thank you.
And the other thing I would just point out, Councilman, is that there are actual spaces in front of each of the lube bays and the detailing bays, and you could theoretically have cars parked there waiting to queue in. So while there's a shortfall of 7 actual marked spaces, you probably only have like a shortfall of 2 when you take those 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 spots.
Oh, one question.
Yes.
A number of other car washes in the area, I've noticed at times, busy times, cars line up on the shoulder of the road. Right there where that's at, that's an entrance into the highway for people coming off of Main Street Extension and all of that. What would be the backup plan if you get really busy? And again, I don't know if that's a question for you, but
Traffic?
Yeah, I think Mr. Caracappa can answer that and also the traffic, but there's a considerable distance. I don't know if the engineer can quantify from where the auto detailing, the traffic dumpster is to the beginning of the car wash. And it's double laned in, correct, Mr. Murray?
It is double lane till this point here on the west side of the building. That becomes a single lane, one-way traffic.
Do you have a distance on how far that queue is?
I could certainly get a distance,
Okay.
but maybe while someone else is testifying.
But we'll also bring that up with the other professional.
Anybody else have any questions of the engineer? Go ahead.
We just wanted to get some testimony on what's the procedure if somebody gets in the queue for the car wash, they're not going to receive those services? Like, have a bailout like an arrangement.
No, there's no bailout lane because we wanted to avoid doing any type of work on top of the Utilities Authority easement. But Mr. Caracappa can adjust that. Maybe he'll let him go through for free. Although once word gets out, everybody will get to the gate and say, I've changed my mind, let me through.
Well, it's not even that, without having the queue to get out of it. What happens if the machinery backs down? My wife is a car wash, 3-foot wide. She goes almost every day. And the last 2 months and up on 18, she's gotten stuck in the machine while it broke, just for a half hour. Of course, they gave her a free month, but still. But it created a big practice
Yeah.
on Tyson's Lane because everybody just.
Correct. Well, one of the options could be is to, instead of doing any kind of impervious surface to the side of the building, putting those permeable blocks down that grass grows in so that there would be an emergency bypass, depressed curb cut. People could drive through that on the off chance that there's a need to do that.
You have room for that?
Yes, there's, I think, Mr. Murray.
Yeah,
how much
we,
distance is from the side to side?
excuse me.
What's the distance from the side of the building to the property line?
It's about 56 feet. We do want to avoid the utility easement, but I think grass pavers could be appropriate for an emergency bypass.
All right, keep that consideration.
Okay.
Go ahead, yeah.
Environmentally, what kind of flooring do you have when you change the oil and everything? I know there's oil seepage. Sometimes when you do that, an environmental, you smell.
So the lube bays, Rob, would you just point out where they are? They're interior to the building. And the individuals that service the vehicles do from the bottom. And there's a facility, there's a mechanism to catch the waste oil that gets then recycled. And Mr. Caracappa, who's, oh, all right, when we have him come up and testify later, he can talk about the details on how that works. But basically, that oil that's coming out of the vehicle is captured, and then ultimately, someone comes in, truck, takes that waste oil out. And it's a concrete floor in the basement, so there's no chance that this is going to wind up on dirt seeping into the soil.
They hold this recycled oil in the tank?
Yeah.
Does it have a reserve in case that tank splits?
I'll have Mr. Caracappa talk about that. I know a little, but not that much.
It's common practice. Next witness?
Okay, thank you. Next, I'd like to call on our architect. It's Kevin Spink from Kanzani Associates. Have the microphone.
Good evening. I do. I graduated New Jersey Institute of Technology in 1995. I have been a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey since 2009. I've worked for the firm that I am at now since 1994 for 31 years.
Motion to accept.
Second?
All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Spinks, would you, there's an exhibit up there. Let's identify it for the board and put it in the record.
Certainly. These are the architectural drawings that our firm has created. It is A1 and A2. It is the floor plans and the elevations of the building.
And they're marked as exhibit what?
They are marked as Exhibit A3.
And A4, each page, yeah.
I apologize. Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so why don't you walk the board through what is marked as Exhibit A3, which is the first floor of the facility?
Certainly. What we've designed is essentially an L-shaped building with the car wash tunnel to the northern portion of the property, with the access and entrances into the facility from the back, so that all noise would be projected out to the front towards the highway itself. Specifically, the car wash, as you enter the car wash, there would be a wash bay at the very beginning where they would prep the car. Typically, there is a tram or a trawler on the floor that will then take the car and pull the car through the car wash itself. And in the car wash, there will be multiple pieces of equipment. I do not know the specifics of which pieces of equipment that we are purchasing at this time. The last item would be the noisiest of all of them, which would be the blower. That is what blows the water off of the car and cleans the car itself. That is placed at the front of the building facing the highway. So again, the noise will be projected out and not towards the residential neighborhoods. The quick lube bays are very similar. They enter into the quick lubes. You'd pull up, you'd be greeted by a person at the front door. Person would take the car and pull it into the actual bay itself. Determining what you're actually getting done on the car, whether you're getting your oil filter changed, oil changed, transmission fluid removed, washer fluid is usually added. A lot of times they also do the filters, the air filters in the car as well in a quick lube, depending upon what services you're looking for. All of that would be done within here. We have a trench, and this, I've done this on a couple of car washes and quick loops before, where we do a trench. So the car is pulled in. You do not need a lift, where your typical repair bay that you would see in a car dealership has a lift where you actually are lifting the car up. You're able to do the services on the car from underneath. You can take the tires off. You can do all the work that you need on the car. This is just the car sitting right on the floor, but a person is standing underneath and is able to work underneath the car through the trench. The trench actually has fiberglass grating that goes into it, so the grates are removed when the car is there, so they can actually work on it, and then put back in for life safety issues so that a customer or a technician does not fall through into the basement. The basement area is specifically used for the access of the cars. There would also be a bulk oil tanks downstairs, both recycled and new oil, so that as the oil is taken out of the car, it is put into the recycle tank. It can be pumped out later. The new oil would then be pumped up to the actual pumps that would feed from the top, and they will put the oil back into the car. The last item in the building is on the far south side are 3 detail bays. Detail bays are usually done if there is nobody there and you are looking to have it done, they can do it at that time, but it's usually by appointment because the details usually take longer. It takes 45 minutes to an hour to fully detail a car. So that is usually a detailed where you're actually by appointment on these.
So just one of the changes that were made, we discussed that there are fewer lube bays, but the other change was the attic storage. Would you just discuss that with the board, please?
Absolutely. The owner was looking for a large file storage area for himself. So we have added in a secondary stair that goes up and built in a large storage room basically over the quick lube bay. I do not want to extend it over the car wash because of water issues and the way we are looking to design this as a truss roof. It's just easier to have a uniform truss going across the whole thing and then framing this portion.
And there are no windows there. It's just purely for storage.
That is correct.
And there's a lift that will take stuff up and down to the attic.
That is correct. We've added one small parts or equipment lift so they can put like Tucker totes with files on it and take it up rather than having to walk it up and down the stairs.
Okay. Now, would you go to the next exhibit, please? This is marked as A4. This is the elevations of the building.
That is correct.
All right. We walk the board through what you have here.
Certainly. We were trying to keep the proportions and the image of the building more residential, where a lot of times you see the commercial buildings have the big flat roofs and you have the parapets that go up. What we were looking to do here is try to keep it more residential look, keep it a little bit squatter and do a hipped roof over the whole building itself. All of it will be done with trusses. And then we can create areas where we would make gables on the front so that it actually kind of looks more residential in nature of the building itself.
And how will the exterior be finished?
The exterior is going to be a stucco finish. We would be doing probably 2 different colors. What I'm thinking is the base, like a water table would be a darker color. Most likely the earth tones, probably a light beige for the main building and then a darker beige for the lower. We may go with the grays as well, but generally in the earth tones. And then doing a band of stucco at the top, both as a detail right under the eave and then a detail right over the top of the door line itself. So you're actually breaking it up. So it's not just one big solid plane.
Are there any signs affixed to the face of the building?
Yes, there would be one would be the main sign that would be the description of what the building is going to be. The sign will meet all of the ordinance requirements.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness.
I had one other item that I could actually discuss too.
Sure.
You mentioned about the parking spaces as an issue. Typically in a car dealership where you're actually doing service on a car and you're putting a car on a lift, it is something where you as a customer would actually make an appointment. You go there and every lift is anticipated to do 5 to 6 cars a day. Whether you're doing brake jobs or lube jobs or tire changes, whatever, they're trying to turn over. The customers are not always there, and that is the reason why your ordinance is requiring the parking spaces for that bay. And in this space, in this project, our bay, though it is a single bay, it is first come, first serve. You come in, you're there for 15 minutes, you're out. It is not something where you're fixing the car and then parking it on the site and need to keep it there until the person comes back to get the car.
Thank you.
Do we have sprinkler systems in the building?
Yes, we would have a sprinkler. The building does require it.
Anybody else? Next question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to,
Oh, go ahead.
It's not, no, just, yeah, I should have raised my hand a little higher. Thank you. Just real quick, just curiosity. I see a cashier space identified on the plans. I was just wondering if you could let us know, since that's kind of like in the interior of the building. And you might have to get there. I understand a lot of people would navigate to where they're actually getting the service, but just how people would get to that cashier and what that cashier who they would service essentially.
Sure. Again, there are two functions of the building. The main functions of the building are the car wash and the quick lube. So if you came to this building as a customer to the car wash, you would pull your car up, you come around the road and you come to the entrance. You are then directed out of your car and there will be a person that will greet you there, discuss what options you're actually going to take. They would give you a ticket that would tell you that this is how much it costs and take the ticket to the cashier. You enter into the tunnel. There is a walkway that is adjacent to the main car wash tunnel. It is customer walkway. There are windows in it, so you can actually watch your car go through the car wash. Most people love when their kids come, they're able to watch it, see the car go through. So we have windows all along. As the customer, again, you walk all the way down and you would exit out this end. But as you're walking out, you're passing the cashier. So you do have to pay for it at that point. There will be a small waiting area and retail here as well. So as a customer, if you decide you want to get, like air fresheners or windshield wipers or something, there would be some sales of that. There's also a small waiting area because, again, the quick lube, as you come into the quick lube, as a customer, you are entering in through the side door and into the same tunnel and to the same walkway. You would wait for your car here. There are windows looking in, so you can actually watch them do the work on your vehicle. When the car comes out, again, your customer comes out and you pick up the car at the front.
So it's what you created is the old Beckton car wash that they did years ago.
Exactly.
That you got out of your car and you went to the site.
That is correct.
Sell more stuff.
Yep.
Right.
It's a much safer way than having the customer in the vehicle yes,
Especially when the machine stops.
Yeah.
correct.
Exactly.
The car washes that I've built in the past, even if the machines do stop, there are pins that they can pull and move the arms and vehicles would still be able to drive through.
Not quickly though.
No, but given the circumstances,
Keep sitting there for an hour.
yes.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd like to next call Scott Kennel from McDonough and Ray.
Yes, I do.
Scott, we have to get you qualified, so please first
Right.
discuss your education and your professional licensing.
Again, Scott Kennel, Kennel, with McDonough and Ray Associates. I have over 40 years of traffic and transportation planning experience. I've testified in over 100 municipalities and over 2,000 site plan applications. I've appeared before this board. It's been a number of years. And I've been qualified by New Jersey Superior Court as a traffic expert on multiple land use applications.
And your education?
I went to New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Move to accept. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. You're
Thank you.
Okay, you're up.
Yes, so our office prepared a revised traffic report dated December 15, 2025. And in the report, it summarizes the tasks that we're undertaking. First thing is we inventory the existing traffic conditions along the site frontage adjacent to the site. We also conducted traffic counts almost a year ago now, back in April 25th, as well as April 24th during the morning and afternoon peak hours. And determined that during the morning peak hour occurs from 8 to 9 a.m. with approximately 2,000 vehicles on Route 9 southbound. And no surprise to anybody else, the PM is the heaviest time period. And from 4:30 to 5:30, there are approximately 3,000 vehicles in the southbound direction on Route 9. As far as traffic projections and traffic generation for this site, we consulted the Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation manual, as well as the NJDOT trip rates, and determined that during the morning peak hour, this site would generate, with the three types of uses, approximately 45 vehicles during the morning peak hour, 70 vehicles during the weekday PM peak hour, and again, depending on the time of year, could be as many as 90 vehicles on a Saturday peak hour. The site plan has been designed to provide positive on-site circulation. I understand the main issue has to deal with parking. And it's my opinion that the way the ordinance is written and the parking requirements for service bays are more geared towards auto repair where vehicles are there for an extended period. And that those facilities need places to store the cars as they work on them during the day when customer drops them off in the morning and picks up the vehicle in the afternoon. What's different with this site is with a quick lube, it is serviced as you arrive at the site, and depending on what you have done to the vehicle, it can be anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes, if not, in that time period. But basically, people are not parking on site. They're entering the quick lube bays, they're being serviced, and then when the service is completed, they're leaving the site. As it relates to the detailing, that's by appointment, so that the on-site, it's a site management issue to ensure that they have adequate storage and serve the vehicles that are by appointment. And again, as was presented earlier, with the detailing bays, we have 3 interior, and then there's room for 3 additional vehicles in front of the bay doors should they be needed. But taking that into consideration, it is my opinion that the 16 striped parking spaces are adequate to accommodate the employees serving the site, and for there may be a couple of detailing vehicles that are maybe stored in those parking spaces. But this is different from a traditional auto repair where vehicles are there all day, which generally requires more parking storage on site. As presented by the engineer, the site's been designed to provide positive on-site circulation for passenger vehicles as well as delivery vehicles and fire emergency vehicles. And as far as there was a question on stacking, there's approximately 250 feet from the entry of the tunnel to the access to I don't recall what exhibit number this one was.
At the bottom right, written in pen.
Okay. Exhibit A2, we have approximately 220 feet from the entry to the tunnel to where the access is to the lube bays. But then if you look at we have additional storage, in my opinion, to the exit of the car wash and the quick lube bays, which provides approximately 300 to 320 feet, which can accommodate 15 to 16 vehicles. And again, that is something that's typically also reviewed by NJDOT. We currently have submitted an application to NJDOT. I would expect their comments back in the next 30 days based on when it was deemed complete. And that's a summary of the traffic impact study submitted to the board.
And there was a request for a discussion about vehicle turnaround. If you could just address that briefly.
And that related to the delivery vehicles?
Delivery vehicles, fire apparatus, emergency vehicles.
Right. I mean, this site is going to be, as I mentioned before, it's going to be served by straight box or box trucks, panel trucks, not tractor trailers. And the site has been designed where it can accommodate those deliveries, which will typically be scheduled during the off-peak hours.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Kelly, you said that the parking was adequate to accommodate the employees. How many employees do you anticipate being on site during the day?
I'll defer to the applicant, but my understanding, it could be around 6 to 8, depending on how busy the site is. But again, nowhere near 16 employees that would take up all the spaces.
And is there going to be a vehicle or
detailing vehicle? In other words, besides the employees who are there, any other parking spots gonna be dedicated for any long-term vehicles that are gonna be used at the site for detailing or anything else?
That's not, my understanding is, again, it's on-site detailing. They're not going to have mobile detailing, if that's what you're getting at, a truck that would maybe go off-site. I'll defer to the applicant, but it's not, my understanding, that's not the case.
You know, I guess the bad question is, there's not gonna be a dedicated vehicle on site there taking up one of those 16 spots, is there?
Not that I'm aware of.
So you're just gonna pretty much have the employees, and your testimony is that customers coming in aren't gonna need to park because they're either gonna be going through the car wash or waiting at one of the lube bays, correct?
Correct. There may be, infrequent, maybe a couple detailing vehicles that are stored there, but again, it's a low number and that's
What do you
controlled.
mean by detailing vehicle?
Well, what I'm saying is someone may drop off a vehicle 9 a.m. in the morning. It may get done at 10 o'clock or thereabouts, and they may come back at 12 to pick it up. It's much different from an auto repair where people generally leave their vehicle there all day because they drop it off before work and pick it up after they're coming home from work.
In other words, it's not gonna be like a typical auto repair shop where you can have an after hours drop off, area where you leave the car and.
That's correct.
Envelope under the door with the keys. That's not gonna happen.
That's my understanding.
So you're offering a detail where you're really doing a deep clean on the car and washing it and waxing it?
That's my understanding. Again, the applicant will go in more details, but that's the plan here.
And the detailing is done by appointment.
By appointment, correct.
So at the end of the day, you wouldn't expect to have, and I'm not sure when it closes, because there hasn't been any testimony, I guess we'll hear that, but at the end of the day, when the business is shut, you don't expect to have any cars parked in.
There shouldn't be any cars parked here overnight, correct? It's not that kind of operation.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
and again, I kind of believe that the applicant will specify what the hours of operation are, but I'm curious as to daytime and weekends. What time is peak hours for an operation?
For a car wash, I mean, generally, my experience is, middle of the day, people during lunch or whatever go there. Generally during the highest traffic volumes on Route 9 is not when in the weekday PM is people are usually trying to get home or doing other activities. But generally then on Saturday where the volumes are lower than they are at a weekday PM. So, again, and it depends when you get a storm and when people want to get their cars cleaned, or obviously in my understanding too is May is a big peak period because of pollen. People get their cars washed on a more regular basis because they want to get the pollen off the vehicles. So, but people are going to schedule that when it's appropriate for them. And I'm sure most people are going to try to avoid Route 9 during the peak hours to go get the car washed.
Any other questions? Dusty, bring up your next.
And next call, Mr. Higgins.
Good evening.
Mr.
I do.
Mr. Higgins, to get you qualified as an expert, please discuss with the board how many times you've testified here, your education and your licensure.
Yeah, sure. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Landscape Architecture from Rutgers University in 1969. I've been a licensed planner in the state for approximately 40 years. And I don't know why I'm still doing this, but I am. And my license is in good standing. I've testified before this board and the zoning board in Sayreville on a number of occasions over the years, been recognized by superior courts in 5 counties as an expert, and also by the state Supreme Court as an expert in the field of planning.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Higgins, there are 2 variances that are required
Yeah.
for this application. Can you discuss
Yeah.
the
There are actually,
variances?
now there are 3. I found out about another one tonight
Okay.
that I wasn't aware of, and I know the board's planner wasn't aware of it either because plans were revised subsequent to his report. But the 2 that are in his report are the parking variance. If you want me to go over it, Again, I will, but I agree with the prior testimony wholeheartedly. The ordinance and the intent of the ordinance is for automotive repair shops where cars are left on the sites, sometimes not just for a day, sometimes for days at a time because they're waiting for parts to come so they can finish the repair on the car. And in this case, the vehicles for the car wash, the parking spaces is a queuing line. For the quick lube, it's in and out, so you really don't need a parking space because people will be in the quick lube and then waiting. If they are waiting, they'll be waiting right outside the quick lube for the other one, the one in front of them to be finished and to move out. And the detailing, they'll be by appointment. And in most instances, the car will be dropped off and either a client will wait for it or it'll be dropped off and he'll come back very quickly when the car is done. So it's not a situation where they're waiting for parts or trying to do multiple repairs on the car. It's just simply a deep cleaning and a waxing and washing. And so you don't really need a great deal of parking spaces for that. And if you have 6 to 8 employees, you still have 8 parking spaces available for those few cars that will be necessary for it to be parked for the detailing. So I don't see that as a problem. The other variance is your ordinance requires that a freestanding sign be 1/2 the required front setback from the street. And originally the plan was submitted, it was 25 feet, your required front setback is 50 feet. And then it was looked at and it was realized that there's so much going on Route 9 southbound before the site, having the sign set back 25 feet would make it much less visible. It was better from a safety standpoint to move it up to 15 feet, which is still a reasonable setback for a freestanding sign on a major highway. That's the reason for it. And I agree with that reason. I don't see any substantial negative impact to it. Again, there's just a lot going on along Route 9 and the cars are traveling at a fairly high rate of speed. And one thing that was done, and I agree should be done, is that the sign is located, what I would say is upstream from the driveway, before you get to the driveway. So it can be recognized very easily, and somebody that wants to go to the site can then recognize the sign, see where the driveway is, and get into the site very safely.
And then there's the variance for the additional signs.
But for the additional signs, yes. And again, those are interior signs. They're more informational and directional to somebody who is inside the site. They don't add to sign clutter because they're not readily visible from off-site. They're small, they're 18 square feet in area, and they provide necessary information for people that are trying to utilize the facilities and the services on the site. So I think, again, that's not something that your ordinance anticipated, and it's something that's actually typical of many, many different types of drive-through facilities, not just car washes or quick lubes. Obviously, when you have a restaurant, you have menu boards and so on. A drive-through restaurant, that's typical of them. But the only drive-through I can think of that doesn't require such a sign is a drive-through bank.
Does the application of the zoning ordinance as written present a practical difficulty or an undue hardship?
I don't think there are any undue hardships. I think here we have a C2 situation where the benefits of the granting the variances substantially outweigh the detriments. And I don't think there's any substantial detriment to the ordinance as it's written, again, because the situations for the variance were not taken into account when the ordinance was written. There's something that's exceptional, that's outside the scope of what the intent of the ordinance was. So I don't think there's any substantial negative impact on your ordinance.
I have no other questions for Mr. Higgins. Okay, thank you, Mr. Higgins. And finally, I'd like to call up Mike Caracappa.
I do.
Okay, Mike, state your name and spell it for the record.
Michael Caracappa, Caracappa.
And your position with this organization, Caravan LLC, is what?
Yeah, Yeah, Caravan, I have a trucking company up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. We have tractor trailers. And we do piers, containers out of the pier, and we do run 14 states.
And you're the managing member?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, bring the microphone up to your
Okay.
face. There are a number of questions about how this is going to operate. So let's start with the day-to-day operations. When is this business going to be open?
I like to open at 8 in the morning and open till, and stay open till 8 at night, possible.
Okay, and
What
how,
I'm looking for.
many employees do you anticipate? And if you
Uh,
could break it down between car wash, lube, and detailing, or just all together, that'd be fine.
During the week, it'll probably be 4 guys in a car wash. It's totally automated. And on the weekend, it'll probably be 7 guys. On the detailing, that's by appointment, so I could schedule my labor however I got to do it, but I just figured 2 guys daily over there at least. And 3 guys in the oil changing bay. That's with the manager.
Okay, so somewhere between 8 and 10 employees?
Yes,
Okay. And you want to be open 8 to 8, 7 days a week?
yes.
And what type of vehicles will be bringing the material you need to run your business?
Well, mostly box trucks. I have a warehouse, so my main warehouse will be receiving this stuff, and I use a straight job to go in there. I couldn't put a trailer in there.
And how big's a straight job, just for the
A
record?
24-footer.
Okay. And how often do you expect to get a 24-footer in to bring supplies?
Once a week.
Okay. Now, there's a refuse container. The professionals have testified about it. Who's going to pick that up and on what frequency? There's a garbage can,
Yes.
the garbage container.
Garbage
Yeah.
container, yeah. They usually come every other day or every 3 days, depending on, how much business we do.
And that will be contracted by you
Yeah.
with a private hauler. Okay.
Yes.
Off hours?
Uh,
When's the garbage
they-
truck gonna come?
Well, they can come at night. They come all different hours, so I can schedule that, whatever works. Yeah,
Not 5 o'clock in the morning making noise.
I can schedule that. Yeah.
Just if we can get clarity on, Mr. Chairman, what you mean by off hours, just so we're all talking about the same thing.
Off hours when he's not open,
Okay.
Right.
I mean, you've got some constraints getting in and out of there anyway.
Right.
It makes sense to do it off hours, but I'd rather see it in the evening rather than 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
That's.
Can you
that
schedule
can Be
that?
done, yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
You're going to be taking in oil,
Oil.
all right?
Well,
Yes.
They'll be, we're gonna hire an oil company that's gonna do the draining of the oil and refilling the oil.
So you're
But
going
That's
to,
one truck. That's like a 20-foot truck the guy comes with.
so you're going to receive shipments of oil that you will use to put into the vehicles.
Right.
And then you will
And
have,
Waste oil.
and somebody will come and pick up the waste oil.
I use a company up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. We got a lot of tractor trailers, so all our oil changes, they come in once a week and they drain all the tanks.
And so that will be once a week as well?
Yes.
Okay. Will there be any, will there be any other chemicals or products that you're going to be storing on site?
Well, yeah, there's, the contractor also does, the guy who's gonna help me build it, American Car Wash. He also does all the supplies and the way we set up the basement and everything with the lift and all of that. Yeah, he'll be coming in. I'm not sure, I don't know how frequent I'll be using, but they deliver drums of, chemicals, to clean the trucks.
Those chemicals are for the car wash?
Yeah.
And can you describe what kind of chemicals they are?
I'm not sure what they use. Every time I explained to him and he says, I know, I don't have a detail. I can get you a,
You're talking the soaps that are.
Yeah.
actually
Right.
used?
Yeah.
right.
Are they recycled? Is that a recycled to the system or does the water come in and go out?
I'm not sure on that, honestly.
It's usually.
No, you're
Sorry,
talking about, go ahead.
Just so you can be on the record.
I've done a significant number of these. It's usually reclaimed. Water is reclaimed from the car wash itself, brought back into the equipment room that we have stored. There will be 3 tanks in there, which I believe it's osmosis that they use, that they pass it through the 3 tanks and then are able to reuse it. So ultimately, each wash is only using like 15 gallons of water.
Mike?
I paid for that.
Is there any risk of accidental discharge of chemicals or oil or fluids?
No, the company that I'm using is very reputable. I don't know the car wash business. I know trucking. This is a new business for me. And when I've been around, I went around with the guy and the guy's, he knows car washes. So
One of the questions that one of the board members asked, is there a danger of the oil or anything getting into the soil?
no, it is, in other words, these are steel containers and they have drain valves and they got gauges on them and then they're in epoxy, like what I have in my warehouse. It's a concrete, cinder block and all epoxied on the inside, so it can be cleaned up. Yeah, there's no seeping into the concrete or anything.
Water, did that seep into the environment also?
Well, I would ask Kevin to come back.
Yeah,
Okay, he said it, but sometimes it's there. So,
Again, the design of it is as your car is brought into the wash tunnel itself, there is a pre-bay where they will actually spray it for the tires. There is no real water being sprayed out at that point, but everything is pitched to the drains, so water doesn't backflow out. Once you get into the tunnel, the cars are washed through the tunnel, and then there is a blower at the end. The blower blows back into the building, so all the water is being pushed back into the building. Everything is usually pushed into a sump pit that is like a 3x3 sump pit. Water is then collected in there and pumped back to the reclaim system itself. All the oil that you were referring to in the basement for the oil tanks, all of them are always double walled. You can't get a single wall tank anymore. Everything's double wall. So if there is a leak, it leaks into the second tank itself and then an alarm is set. So you are aware that it is going off. As Mike has also informed, we probably will be building a block wall around it as well, so that if anything should spill, it will spill within a contained area that will be epoxied. So it is able to be cleaned up and remediated immediately.
So in essence, you have a belt and suspender operation going on here, where you have the double line tank and the fluid.
Correct. I wouldn't call it belt and suspenders though.
Mike, final question. With regard to the oil, the chemicals, the soaps, whatever you're going to be bringing in, you'll be complying with all of the state and federal standards as to the handling and storage of those chemicals?
Yes, without a doubt. We understand it totally from running a warehouse. We have a whole booklet on every chemical we use and yes.
Okay.
That's,
I have no further questions for Mr. Caracappa.
Anybody have any?
Go ahead. As far as the parking goes, the employees, you mentioned the number. I'm just thinking of other places, businesses in the area. For the Quick Lube, you have 4 bays. You're only gonna have 2 mechanics or 2 techs and one manager. For 4 bays.
on the oil bays, the oil bays, 3 guys can do that.
Then you got the
Yeah.
manager and 2
Yeah,
techs.
3 guys can do 4 cars. That is,
And then the car wash, you're gonna have the host at the beginning. takes
Yeah.
the order.
right,
You're gonna have a cashier. You're gonna have 4 to 7
right.
people drying detail or the minor detail at the end of the car wash. And then detailers, you'll have 2 to 3 versus
2 to 3 guys, yeah, the detailing is that's gotta be appointments and I can get labor for that,
right.
you know,
I'm talking about employees only right
yeah,
now.
okay,
Detailers, you'll have 2 to 3 most of the time.
right.
And then you'll have a manager and yourself, the owner.
Hmm.
So, all right, that's like all of the parking spots. Just as just something to consider. But, then you're gonna have probably a few cars falling into the appointments for the detailing, which a car could potentially sit there from the night before until, I mean, I've dropped off my car for detailing the day before I picked it up at the end of the workday, so. I'm just thinking out loud, that's all about
Yeah.
the parking spots that we have. So it seems like we have every parking spot filled up, before we even get to the detailing. So there's something to consider.
So why don't you go again through how many people, you said that you testified that 3 employees for the lube, correct?
for the oil
Just,
change?
yeah, for
Yeah.
oil change, okay.
Right,
Now, let's walk through the car wash.
right.
Be a person greeting at the beginning. That's the only role for that person, or do they also help provide the car wash service?
Well, everybody's going to be cross-trained. Everybody's going to be cross-trained, like on my job. I got everybody cross-trained now. I went to a car wash, the same size tunnel. And I spoke with the owner, and the owner he has 4 guys with the manager that run the car wash during the week. On the weekend, he has 7 people that do it because the volume goes up. So, I mean, we're getting, the equipment we're getting is state-of-the-art equipment. Everything we explained, he showed me the equipment he had, and they added on more equipment now.
Well,
Keep
let's
them
talk
more
about the parking, just
All right.
to the board
Well,
members'
well,
question.
related to the labor.
Right.
All right.
So you said on the weekends, no, on weekdays, you're going to have 4 people in the car
4
wash?
people in the car wash.
And on the weekends, you may go up to 7?
7.
Okay. So that can be at a low for the 2, 7, at a high 10, then plus the detailing.
Right.
How many people, you said you're going
2
to
to 3 people.
2 to 3
2
people,
to 3 people in the loop.
right? So that's somewhere between 9 and 13 people.
Mhm.
And a manager.
Okay. And will all of the people be driving their own vehicle, or will some be dropped off at work?
I don't know how to answer that. Hopefully it'll be dropped off. We'll come to work together.
Okay. Other questions?
Sheriff Kappa, you said 8 to 8 are the operating hours, that's 7 days a week?
That's what I'm looking to do.
Let me ask you a question on your business end. Are you gonna have, $20 car wash and then 35 for the month,
Yes.
a monthly?
There's going to be a monthly. They got so much stuff out there now. I'm amazed. Yeah.
Got one today.
Yeah. I'm amazed at the how they use technology now as far as even attracting customers. You know, they have this technology where they got a geo fence where you drive in the area and they know your car is in the area. You know, it's amazing stuff, and they send coupons to your car to get you in there, you know.
Hopefully you're not looking at the phone while you're driving.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
go ahead. Mr. Sheriff Kappa, the testimony of your experts is that none of the parking spots are really gonna be used by customers.
Mm.
That's because the services were limited, and my question is, the services are strictly gonna be limited in terms of automotive, there would be oil changes, fluid changes, et
Right.
cetera. It's not a situation where you're gonna need a part and it's gonna take some time and the car's gonna have to stay, they're gonna have to go to the part deal and the part dealer is gonna come back.
I don't want to get involved in repairs like that. Basic oil changes. I mean, if something happens, I mean, we got to make sure that we have all the filters and everything that we need. I don't want to become a repair shop, you know, and will something happen? I mean, I'm, you know, but I don't.
I think Mr. Muller's question is it your plan to do more than just fluid changes, oil changes?
Yeah, or in other words, would you agree to limit to certain services that we know would not traditionally require
Yes.
ordering parts or sending a delivery person like her? Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with filters and stuff like that, all the basics.
Because
Yeah.
we're operating at a really tight margin on the parkings and.
I know.
Parking issue, I don't know if you know that area, but you know, that lane it abuts to is supposed to be a turn only lane. And people just use it to zip through and cut over at the end. Like, it's challenging at times. So if there's
Yeah.
not enough parking in your area and it's spilling out into that road.
It's
At
busy.
that time, it's gonna be bad for everyone. So we wanna make sure,
All right.
on the parking, that these customers are not using those parking spots. And you're getting them in and out, and they're not waiting for parts, if they need a battery or something. And you're not taking, appointments overnight for people to leave it overnight and work on the next day and things like that. So that's why we're asking those questions.
Yeah, I don't want chaos in my life. I don't want to start doing that.
So just to clarify the record, because this was a question that Councilman Zabrowski had also raised. So you're willing to agree that this is going to be a car wash, nothing more,
Right.
an oil change, fluid change, oil filter change, windshield wiper change place, not a repair shop, and a detailing place that's done by appointment.
Yes.
And that's the limit of what
That's
you're
it.
going to do here.
Yes.
So my only other issue is, in terms of emergency vehicles, there's no other way to get access other than Route 9. In other words, there's no way to get an access point on Carney if there was no. So I'm trying to think, if it's like 4:30 on a Friday and a fire truck's got to get there, the traffic on Route 9 in that area is horrendous.
Well, I think that there's the possibility to create some kind of depressed curbing along Kearney if there was a need for a fire apparatus to get into the site because it couldn't get onto Route 9. Because I'm aware that when you go back to Kearney Road, there's the bypass behind the DOT yard that the fire company uses, so that if there was a need in a traffic jam, there could be some type of like depressed curbing and permeable pavers that would allow a fire apparatus in, if that's what the board's looking for.
Are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, we would do that.
Anybody else have any questions? If not, we'll open for some public.
Let's have a seat. Keep that up here.
Motion to open up the public.
Motion.
Second, all in favor? Anybody opposed, nobody opposed. When you come up, tell me where you live and give me your name and spell your name. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name's Barbara Murphy. I live at and own 39 Kearney Road, which is right towards the back of the property. So a couple things. So first of all, happy that it's going to be developed. Definitely. It's been empty for a long time. Kearney Road historically has drainage problems. The report that I viewed said the existing drainage pattern drains from west to east towards Route 9. It would come from the back of the property towards the front, and that's not our experience. So I have some pictures if you want to. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I do.
Now you can pass out your picture.
Okay. You might have to share.
You can actually. It's new entrance. You can actually.
So these are all photos I just pulled out of my camera roll of during. Okay. They're basically taken from all the same place on Kearney Road, kind of in front of my property, looking out towards the empty lot and towards Route 9. So the very long stormwater management plan in summary says that the lot drains from west to east. And if that was the case, I don't see how we have water on Kearney Road all the time. Kearney Road has historically had drainage issues. So obviously the concern is developing this property and paving and building a building is going to make it even worse. So we wanted to go on record to say this is an issue and it could become more of an issue. Does anybody have any questions about the photos, like where they are? Okay, good.
This happened this time of year or all time?
all times of year. You'll see the last photo was December. And the front one's March of 24. That was a really, really hard rain. Oh, sure, sorry. You could see how flooded that was. That day was completely flooded, my whole driveway and backyard as well. We've spoken to the road department several times. You could see I left one of the pictures in there of the storm sewer. This one, you could see it's above the grade of the road. You know, like I've said to him, I'm not an engineer, but the water's not going to go up and over that.
But I mean, even if you have, you know, the 2 inches, then it would start draining. Not the way it is now.
Right. So for the site plan, they have that retention area. I don't know what it's officially called, towards the front of the property when the back of the property by the street floods all the time. I don't see stormwater flowing to that, just based on my lived experience. I've lived.
The stormwater retention for his property.
Right.
That's the, keep everything that happens on his property, on his property. So it shouldn't run off to you.
Right.
What we're concerned about is the water up your way gonna run onto his property or it's even a bigger problem.
I don't think it's going to run anywhere. I think it's just going to sit there.
Because that site's gonna have to be sloped. Everything's gonna have to be, the water's gonna have to drain
Slope to Route 9.
on that property. It's gonna have to slope to where the retention area is. So is that gonna affect
Your end will be the high end, the low end will be down towards Route 9. When they regrade the property.
So you don't see any additional flooding on the street. Well, we'll be able to tell because we have pictures.
I don't think there's gonna be flooding accounted to the project. I think I don't think it's gonna alleviate your problem.
Oh, I don't.
I don't think the problem is with this applicant. I mean, as far as you're concerned, you're happy to see it being developed,
I am.
but.
I just don't want it to be made
Well, I
worse.
understand. Question is, and I'll ask our engineer,
Looks like they have a significant berm on the County Road there. So everything's contained on the property. The picture you showed us, looks like it's a road issue.
Mhm.
The structure sits on.
is that a town road, a county road?
It's a borough of Saraville Road. That's what we pay our property taxes for.
Throw one of the bucks around it.
We're never on the list. My family has lived on this property for 7 generations.
Wow.
My mom, who passed away in 1984, was constantly on the phone to the road department, constantly. I don't have her fight. I just keep taking pictures.
Problem, but you get it resolved.
Right.
Good time to look at it now that we're doing a major development.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions?
And then I had just one other thing. We're grateful that Carney Road is not planned as access to this. That's wonderful because you could see the road. It's not a typical borough road where you could park on both sides and have street bypass access. It's a narrower road. The concern with the parking is if they do fill their 16 spots, say they have 20 employees one day, those 4 employees are going to be parking on Carney Road. There's no other place for them to park but on Carney Road. And if we have cars parked along that road, 2 cars can't pass each other. Somebody's always going to be waiting.
Under this design, they're giving you more property on Corning Road, but my suggestion to you is to ask for no parking on Corning Road.
And who does that?
The town.
Parking by permit only? Like maybe if I wanted to park in front of my house, I could?
You know, that could be part of the resolution. We could ask them that, if John, yeah, parking by permit on current Corning Road, you would be admissible to that? Yes.
Okay, that solves that.
You like that?
I do like that. Thank you. And then the last thing that you just discussed about a depressed curve for emergency vehicle access. As long as that's not something obvious where someone thinks they could come onto Kearney Road and cut into the car wash.
Yeah. We could put a, there's one right off the Washington Road, back to the French Continental Pepper. Where they put, like John said, the brick in the ground, the basic statement, put the grass on,
Mhm.
and then put a chain link, an actual 2 posts and a chain.
Yeah.
across. That would be, an emergency vehicle. in it.
Okay.
I mean, even though it'll be a worth breaking, it won't be for any other person, purpose, but.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Work with people on getting the, parking back that all.
Okay.
Anybody else that would like to speak? Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Name, and what you have?
My name is Jonathan Mokarski. I live at 33 Kearney Road. Oh. I do. I have a few more additional pictures if you guys want to pass it around. And the primary concern is I would like to second Barbara's comments about the flooding. Very happy to see that they do have plans for something to go in that space as well. Just a little concerned that that area with the history, I didn't know it went back down to her parents and everything like that, but I've lived there since 2018 and there's a bit of a water problem. I'm gonna keep my witty comments about the DOT to myself because I know you guys are waiting for permission, even though they have a few things to fix on their end, my own personal thoughts over there, but they just recently opened up a brook/ditch, whatever you want to call it, for their water. The DOT is a little higher than everybody else. When I first moved in there, the ditch/brook was not in use. We had a bit of an incident with a supervisor that took over, changed a bit of landscaping, zoning with Andy Machowski from Saraville, with Jeff from CME, and a few other people were involved back in 2022, 2023. So now they ended up using that brook/ditch, whatever they did, to come from the DOT to kind of go down. And that ends up going to Kearney Road. So again, just seconding the flooding issue with water control, flash floods, there's nothing you could do about that, and that area gets wiped out. So just concerning with like any structure going up, if the wetlands and everything like that could be, we could cross our T's, dot our I's, make sure that we could try to control it in the best way we can to not inconvenience the taxpaying residents of that area.
Anybody else have a question?
So right now, as the property sits, there is no berm, and that water from that property is just running off of the Kearney.
From the DOT, a lot of that water is from the DOT. Yeah.
So when that berm gets put in, it's gonna alleviate a little bit of your problem, we hope.
We hope,
But,
yeah.
So then the majority is still gonna be just the Kearney Road problem, not
Yeah.
the problem for the property.
Just raising awareness of the ongoing problem that goes back to years
So
and
the
years.
problem is we're gonna probably solve one of your problems, not gonna solve the major. So
So,
you're gonna have to go to DOT and the town to try to get something.
yeah, they were working on making a pipe that people measure, but not holding my breath.
Sorry about that.
No.
Anyone else like to speak? Anybody like to speak in a public? Come on up. How are you today?
How are you? Dino Grimaldi, 27 Kearney Road. I do. I agree with everybody with the parking issues. They could say, we're gonna put permits, now it's gonna be a cost to us. I just feel like
Get a permit, then you can park there, nobody else.
whatever town I lived in, we had permits and a resident always had to pay. I lived in Jersey City, I lived in Bayonne.
There is no fee here in June.
Okay, that could always change. Right.
I'm learning something out there, so.
Right. They could say, we're not gonna do it, but they have at least 10 people working there, maybe more on the weekend. It's gonna be abused and Kearney Road is gonna be parked on and it's gonna be an issue for us.
Well, if we make it part of the condition, that it's only permitted, that's the best that we can do. And then if it's a compliance issue, then all the police officers, and they'll come out and address it. It won't happen. You can sit there and the guy says, well, what about it? Oh, he lives here, he pays taxes, he's got to come in. You're out.
Also, the issue, they say that you're gonna go through and it's gonna be contained inside. I don't know, everybody's gone to a car wash. It all has spillage. There's all chemicals, Armor All. You can go to Route 35 car wash in South Amboy, the one in Valvoline on Route 9. This is gonna spill on Route 9, and this is gonna be hazardous conditions for any car driving on the road.
I don't know if the state of New York car wash is gonna leak. Seems that these things don't contain everything that they use.
I mean, if you go to South Amboy car wash, you can see it leak onto Route 35. I don't have pictures right now. I wasn't prepared for this. I just learned from some neighbors about this meeting, so I wasn't prepared for all this.
Well, apples and apples, we can't judge it. Something
Well-
that's going on in Route 35, is going on here.
You're saying you're gonna slope it, so it's gonna go down to Route 9.
Yeah, but it's gonna be caught before it gets to Route 9.
I mean,
It's detention system that's gonna catch everything and reuse the water.
well, they armor all the cars outside. That's gonna spill out.
Say that again?
They armor all cars outside of the wash bays, and that will spill out.
I don't think that that's gonna be allowed to do anything outside of the bay, other than the factory. You can ask the owner that.
He's talking about when they do the tires, they do it as after the drying, and
That's in the key where they get.
what he's talking about also is Bosch Car Wash over here on Route 9. You can see the trail from the car wash all the way in front of the mall from the people leaving there. That's the Armor All.
Correct.
That's what he's talking about, and I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that.
Maybe just the engineer can talk a little bit further, but it doesn't appear that that's a straight run right out. Is that correct, Mr. Wisniewski? I mean, you're coming and it's, right,
And then again.
right, because I know at Posh, it's a straight run right down the hill. In this particular case, it looks like there's somewhat of a pathway before any of that residual.
Right, and it definitely won't be as extreme as. I know what you're talking about.
Right. I mean, the turn on Carney Road is hazardous. It's like, all right, prepare,
I look at this as a little bigger than Posh, but it's in around the same area. And you're gonna have, this one you have some better issues, because the exit is not right onto Route 9, you have some distance, so. And I don't recall there being an issue, a safety issue, traveling on Route 9 by Posh because of any runoff. Underall, like more slippery, so. That's just how I compare it to.
I mean, that's fine. It could be taken up with the DEP if it does get put up. That's fine.
But we are trying to,
Right.
work through the parking issue. We understand the issues on Carney Ave. We get it. We're trying to help you guys out on that front. We want to make sure that there's emergency access into there. Some of these flooding issues, I don't know, maybe they'll improve when they build it. I don't know.
I've just seen it in the recent storms in the summer, and it's pretty bad. So. All right.
Anybody else like to speak on this issue? Anybody else like to speak on this issue before I close it? Anybody else last time? Take a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Mr. Wisniewski, would you like to sum up?
If I may, I have some responses to the concerns, if you'd like. Okay. So I'd like to have my engineer come up to talk about the drainage, because I think it's an interesting point and a valid concern. But would you please describe for the board the water that is generated, the runoff from this site? Where does it go? How is it captured?
The runoff from the site is captured on site to the proposed infiltration basin. Everything's graded to inlets and collected and brought into the infiltration basin. And in terms of Kearney Road, we do have a couple inlets that we were provided that are lower than the road. And that ultimately also goes to our infiltration basin.
So there's drainage that's being installed on Kearney Road that's going to go to the infiltration basin?
It is within the right-of-way dedication. We provide a couple inlets, and that is collecting runoff from the berm. And if water were to pond front then miss the inlets, it is likely that they would be captured in the depressed inlets.
So
I'm talking
there's-
about the existing inlets. If they miss the existing inlets, they're likely being caught in our proposed inlets.
So where are the proposed inlets on this plan?
Approximately one here along the south side of the basin, one here near the corner, and one about here between the trees.
And they drain Kearney Road.
I don't have the drainage area map with me, but they certainly will be collecting more water from Kearney Road.
Okay, but the water that lands on the parking lot, on the drive aisle, on the roof of the building, all of that drains to the detention basin that's in the front left corner there.
Correct.
And none of it drains out onto Kearney Road.
Correct.
Okay. That was one concern. The other concern, Mr. Chairman, was about the parking. And if you could, if you look on the front, there's a green space in front of the building. If the board wishes, that is big enough to add 4 parking spaces. We could bank them. They would be there. If there would need, we could have them.
Would it be more beneficial to put them in where he doesn't, where it's being built rather than bank them?
We could certainly do that. It's really, we're offering that to the board. If the board would feel more comfortable.
That create any variances or waivers?
No, it gets us closer to the,
I understand. what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah, but it doesn't create any other issues. Yeah. There might just have to be some,
Something like that. Would you like to see it done before? I would.
okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Our mandate that we'd like to see that done.
then that will be added. And then the final issue was about the concern of whatever is being done in the car wash aisle. I'd like to have our architect come up, who's an expert on car washes. There was a concern about Armor All being applied to tires. He can address that.
The outside portion, I believe after the car is dried and brought outside, they do spray the Armor All on the bottom. The car should be dry at that point, so it is only the Armor All that is being sprayed on the tires. But in general, all of the washing of the vehicle is done inside. So when you first enter the tunnel, they actually spray it with a soap on the cars. The tires all get washed at the very front entrance of the tunnel. As it goes through the tunnel, there is actually, depending upon which pieces of equipment they get, there is one that actually just rolls out and rubs the tires specific. So that is all the cleaning of the tire is done in the tunnel. The Armor All is only applied after it comes out. It is just sprayed onto the tire after it is done, just to make the tire look shiny.
If there are no further questions, then I could sum up.
I have one question. So from the time the cars turn into the car, like they're going around to the back to enter the car wash, right? How many cars do you think that they can fit in line to come like around to the back? Approximately.
How long the queue would be.
Yeah, how many cars from the time they turn in to where they would go to around that, where the arrows are to come in to enter
All the
the,
way out towards Route 9 or to this location?
they're gonna enter right there, right, at the bottom?
Correct.
Yep.
So if you were to use the entire distance out to the Route 9 entry, you could accommodate approximately 18 vehicles. I mean, we don't
Okay.
expect that. And again,
Right.
these car washes are set up where if there is increased demand, they can increase the speed to
Mhm.
process the vehicles.
Okay. All right, that's a good amount.
Oh, don't need it.
If there are no other questions, Mr. Chairman, in summation, you've heard testimony from the engineer who's designed a site plan, the architect who's designed the architectural renderings, our traffic expert, and the owner of the property and our planner. You have a conforming permitted use in the B3 highway zone. You have a need for 3 variances in terms of the sign location, the number of signs, and the parking. I think the testimony from the planner is that it meets all of the criteria for granting a variance on those bases. There are no other deviations to this otherwise conforming application. And on that basis, on the testimony of the professionals and Mr. Caracappa, I would ask the board to favorably approve this with the conditions that the engineer agreed to that are laid out in your approval review letters from your engineer from Morgan Engineering and from Acuity.
So I have, like the engineering plan report, except for the placement of the space,
Correct.
no after hours drop off vehicles.
Correct.
Maybe, automobile detailing, additional fluid services, car wash and limited sale of car wash related items. No general automobile services, repairs, much more to vehicles. We'll put a crest curving on Kearney at the end of the fire truck to the satisfaction of the engineer. Garbage will be picked up off heat in evening hours. And there will be 4 parking spaces added to the satisfaction of the board engineer.
That's correct. I would just ask one clarification. You used the language fluids. I just don't want somebody to read this a year from now saying, well, you can't change air filters, you can't change wiper blades. Okay, that was the only concern.
You have to put in the provision about permit parking on Florida. And that the applicant will make a request to the council that Kearney Road be made permit parking.
We can make that request. Up to the council to decide on what to do with that.
Testimony, what you're planning. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application with the stipulations that were just made. I believe that the applicant has satisfied the standard for the granting of the parking variance. I take the expert's testimony that the parking spaces, and I'm grateful that they're adding the additional 4, that they'll be sufficient for the proposed use. I'm thankful for the additional stipulations they made. And I do hope and believe that the additional trees and greenscape on this property will also help the neighbors with their drainage issues on Kearney Ave. So with all of that, I make a motion to approve the application.
Do I have a second? I have a second. Do I have anybody that opposes?
We'll do a roll call.
Yep.
Mr. Cantel?
Yeah.
Ms. Larmen? Yes. Mr. Mueller?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Sataka? Mr. Velosan? Mr. Williams? Councilman Zabrowski?
Yes.
Chairman Ty?
Yes, and thank you for being thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, old business, new business, administrative matters. Our next meeting is February 4th, 2026. We currently do not have any applications for that evening, but I would keep it open. There might be something from the council coming forward. Okay, let's take a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Anybody in the public like to speak? Anybody in the public like to speak? Hearing none, take a motion.
Motion to close.
All in favor?
Aye.
What?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.